Hey guys, it's me, Cat Kerr, and today we're making resin and clay rings. I first started off with a little black ball of clay and I just added some pearlescent powder to the clay. I wanted to give the clay a metallic gunmetal look. And so I'm just conditioning the clay now and I'm just softening it up so I can roll it up into a ball. So now I'm flattening out the clay with the roller. I'm creating an oval shape, and at this point you can decide how thick or thin you want your ring. I left mine about an 1/8 inch thick, and I'm also using a little brass cutter to create the hole towards the bottom of the ring. You can find these in your local craft store. Just keep in mind that the size of the hole should be smaller than your finger, because as we work the clay, it's going to stretch out. So now I'm using a foam rubber unmounted stamp. I picked one with a lot of text on it because there's not a lot of surface, so you want to be able to see the design of the stamp. And I also cut out some small little wedges using a utility knife. Now I'm using a ring mandrel. If you don't have a ring mandrel, you can just use a dowel, that works fine. I'm basically using it just to flatten out the band part of the ring, which will also enlarge the space so that it will fit my finger. Keep in mind that you are working with uncooked clay, and so it will stretch out very easily. And so as I'm trying it on and off, I'm trying not to stretch it out too much. And also don't lose those little wedges because we're going to be cooking all three pieces in the next step. Now that the ring is baked, I'm going to create a mold using Amazing Mold Putty. And I need 2 equal parts, and then I'm going to mix them together until I get one solid color. Next, I'm going to flatten it out, make sure that it's big enough for the ring, and I'm going to gently put the main part of the ring in along with the wedges. And once they're all in, I'm going to try to press all of them in equally with the same amount of pressure into the mold. Here I'm just tapping the little wedges, making sure that they're securely in there. Now it's important to turn the mold over and push in the edges of the mold. You want it to be as flat as possible. Now we're using Resin Obsession's clear resin. This is a 2-part to 1-part resin. And we're also using the transparency magenta dye. I have some wax paper on the surface of my table, and make sure that you're following proper safety precautions. You're wearing gloves, you're working in a well-ventilated space, and make sure that you are reading the labels to the resin. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some of that transparent magenta into part A of the resin, and then I'm going to mix it thoroughly. I want to make sure that I'm scraping the sides of the measuring cups and getting all of that dye mixed together. Then I'll go ahead and pour in part B and mix it thoroughly. And I normally like to mix it for about 2 minutes, and then when that's done, I'll go ahead and put this aside and let it rest for about 15 minutes. The reason I let the resin sit for a couple of minutes is because I want it to thicken up just a little bit before I put it into the mold so that it doesn't seep in under the ring. And so now that it's ready, I will pour a couple of drops into the mold, and I will let them cure for about 8 to 10 hours. Now I'm just wiping off the ring with a wet wipe, and you can see that I also created a second ring. With that one I used the transparent teal. Now after 8 hours I'm able to pull the ring out, and some of the edges are a little rough, and so I'm just going to take an emery board and just file down the edges. Now the last step is just to add some metallic gold paint. I used my finger, I just lightly rubbed it across the ring on the clay, and that was just to highlight the stamp. And then you're done.